in the first book, these two beings appear in your living room. They sort of materialize in your living room, and they start to relate to you the unfolding of a higher spiritual consciousness. And you later find out that one of these beings is a future incarnation of yourself, right? But when they appear to you, they're actually very physical. You touch them, right? You actually can. How does that work? I mean, what's going on? I mean, first, were you shocked? Were you like, oh, what are you doing in my house?
Yeah, I was very surprised, but the way it worked was I was meditating in my living room. I opened my eyes, and there were like these two people sitting there on my living room couch. It was like this beautiful, wonderful, amazing, exquisite-looking woman was sitting there, and some guy. And, you know, she started to talk to me, and I started to talk back to her. And, of course, you know, people will say, you know, why don't you go run out of the room screaming when these two people showed up? But if you could see the look on their face, you know, and get how peaceful they were, you know, it's just very calming. And, you know, that kind of like reassured me. And this beautiful woman started speaking to me, and I started talking back to her. And it took me a while to get used to it, but looking back on it, I can see that the reason that they appeared to me as people was because they wanted the conversations that we would have to be human. I would never have reacted to them and responded in the way that I did and had the kind of like smart-ass comments and, you know, everyday conversations with them in the vernacular, if you will, if they didn't appear to me the way that they did. If I had heard like a voice in my mind or something, it would have been a different kind of a conversation.
I mean, could they appear to you? Could they have appeared to you differently, like balls of light or something? They're that in control of their reality.
I believe so, but I think they chose to appear to me as people in the flesh. I even was able to touch them at times later.
That beautiful woman is you in the future, isn't she?
Yeah, but that's you know, something that I didn't find out for a long time. You know, and actually, what they started off by letting me know was that 2,000 years ago, the woman in that incarnation was her name's Persa.
Persa, yeah.
And she was Thomas, now called Saint Thomas, 2,000 years ago. And the guy whose name was Arton was called 2,000 years ago Thaddeus, which makes him also one of the original disciples of Jesus. And so they felt, you know, pretty qualified to tell me about this Jesus guy, and that wasn't even his name. It was in Hebrew it would be Yeshua.
Yeshua.
Yeah.
Yeshua.
Well, they put the emphasis on the second syllable, Yeshua. Yeah.
Yes.
And they gave me kind of like a different version of this Jesus guy than what I was given growing up. And it turns out he's actually very similar to Buddha, and that they had a lot in common, and we're really saying most of the same things.
The difference, I think, though, between Jesus and Buddha, or Yeshua and Buddha, is that he then resurrected the body after being crucified, and then was able to ascend the body into light. Is that true according to their version?
Well, that's not exactly what happened. Resurrection is actually something that takes place in the mind, and the body is actually just a projection that is coming from the mind. I think that in the long run,
is that, though, right?
Right. In fact, the body itself is just a part of the same projection that everything else is. It's just that we have the optical illusion that we are inside of a body, but we're actually not. The body is actually being projected by the mind. So if I hold my hand up in front of my face, you know, what I'm seeing is a projection that is coming from my mind that is no different than this couch, no different than you. It's all one. It's all one projection. It's all connected. It's all whole, even in the illusion. But then we see all this separation, and we believe it to be separate when it's actually not.